In this year's observance under the theme Salute to Labor, we commemorate, as you've heard, the genesis of the labor relations system in Barbados as the Labor Department celebrates its platinum jubilee of 75 years and as the BWU prepares for similar commemoration in October next year. We take time out to memorialize and honor workers who have made tremendous sacrifice, sometimes sacrificing their own freedom, their careers, even their lives for the rights of the working class, for our rights, and who carry that sacrifice with pride because they were fighting towards a day where there would be no more exploitation of man by man, and because they were fighting to create the kind of democracy that is available to us today. So to Bussa, to Samuel Jackman Prescott, to Charles Duncan O'Neill, to Brantley Herbert Adams, Hugh Worrell Springer, Frank Leslie Walcott, our song heroes, we hail you. And to you, our unsung heroes, enough respect. To you for standing boldly behind these great leaders to pave the way for our democracy. We say many thanks. As we salute our heroes at all levels, it is not enough to trivialize their effort and commitment to a mere historical tribute without giving careful thought to why they did what they did and for whom they were making that sacrifice. Rather, we should be seeking to learn from their experiences, the experiences of the dreary period in which they lived, and seek inter alia to discern whether there still exists parallels between their world and the neoliberal period that we are now living in. Careful reflection and analysis no doubt will show that there are indeed parallels. We would recognize that exploitation of the working class is still rampant and perhaps more repugnant as capital seems insistent on repealing workers' efforts and taking us back to the conditions which gave rise to the riots and which the Moyne Report of 1945 exposed for the horrendous living conditions in Britain's Caribbean colonies, Barbados included. Yet, they tell us the workers' movement is irrelevant. Even now, when in the Labor Department's Platinum Jubilee, it is being commemorated against several crises: economic crisis, crisis of governance, crisis of respect for the working class, a crisis of trust, and sadly, but perhaps consequentially, a crisis of unity among the masses. The acute problems that made life difficult for the working class in the 1830s and the 1930s still persist. I am inclined to observe, as Martin Luther King Jr. did in his famous mountaintop speech back in Memphis, the nation is sick. There's trouble in the land. There is confusion all around. A regrettable state of affairs, and more so because we ought to have been past this stage by now. Must we go back to come forward to the time of the riots? Mr. Chairman, it need not be so. There is yet space to arrest the kind of anarchy that is possible if capital and the other social partners more generally continue to disregard labor's inputs. Avoidance of actions that give rise to violence and deviance should therefore be our common goal. The wave of crime expressed through gun violence, burglaries, and the sinister plots that have been observed even in recent months On top of all the other hardships being faced by workers, are depriving innocent citizens of their hard-earned property. We all have the right to feel safe. This is not just a right reserved for our beloved tourists who come to our shores. As a community, government, employers, workers all, we must denounce violence in all forms. Everyone who breaks the law lives in a community, and so their actions are known by at least one or two persons. And so parents, guardians, siblings, friends of perpetrators, today I tell you that if you fail to reprove these offenders, you yourselves are guilty of undermining our democracy and stability. Mr. Chairman, the Executive Council of the Congress of the Barbados Workers Union makes this appeal. The Executive Council of the Congress of the Barbados Workers Union makes this appeal, ever mindful of the fact that it is not sufficient to criticize the youth and others not so useful for acts of deviance. We believe that it is time to deal with these issues at the root, or should I say the time has passed. We must seek to determine what is influencing my generation and those younger from keeping on the straight and narrow. We can blame parenting skills or lack thereof. The fact that we have forsaken our Creator for material things. We can blame television. We can blame the media. And while all these may be individual contributing factors or a combination of influences, it is also true that our people of this country, Barbados, have reached varying degrees of desperation, and they're lashing out. But in our lashing out, we are showing what is referred to as the slave mentality. There is an account, I can't quite remember where, of a slave master who in conversation with others explained that he discovered the secret to controlling black slaves. And that secret was to set them against each other. Let's not conform to that mentality.